The low-intensity explosions that have taken place at the Air Force station at the Jammu Airport in the early hours of Sunday are now confirmed to be drone attacks. Vishnu Shom and Neeta Sharma joins us with the very latest. Vishnu, to you first. These two blasts were heard within a gap of 5 minutes. The first at 1:37, the second at 1:43 a.m. What more can you tell us?
This is the first ever drone attack on any Indian military facility. Therefore, it's one of the most serious security incidents to have affected our country in recent times. Fortunately, there aren't any injuries. The Air Force earlier said nobody was injured. Now security agencies seem to be suggesting that 2 Indian Air Force personnel have been injured, but these are minor injuries. The first explosive went off on top of a roof of a particular building, causing a reasonable amount of damage. The second one landed in a nearby area, but it was an unoccupied area. There wasn't very much damage over there. So the investigations are carrying on at all levels, obviously at the level of the Indian Air Force and the level of bomb experts. But the significance of this is very important because it marks a new chapter in the battle against presumably terrorism. The question is, where did these drones launch from? How big were these drones? Were these very small drones which are controlled by remote control, or were they suicide drones which are somewhat more advanced, or were they larger drones which had crossed over the international border or the line of control, which is not too far from Jammu? So these are all being looked at. It's very important for bomb experts to get an idea of the extent of the payload. In other words, how explosive was the bomb? How heavy was the bomb? Because on the basis of that, they'd be able to get an idea of how large the drone itself was. Drones, particularly small ones, are extremely difficult to intercept, and in fact, perhaps tougher to detect than intercept, because they have the radar signature of a bird in many cases. You know, I'm talking about small quadcopters. Some of them can be bought online as well. If these are jury-rigged to carry explosives on them, and if the explosives can be released by the operator, then, you know, it's not a very expensive thing, but since they fly very low, you may not be able to pick them up on conventional radar at all. So it needs very specialized equipment, and you need to be knowing where exactly, what direction to be looking at. Now, to set up the hardware to do this is conceivable, but extremely expensive and very difficult to do. And obviously, it needs to be done at all air bases and military installations. So this is something that's been discussed now for several years. There are various systems which are available, but an investment to do this on a large scale has to be done. But for now, this marks a dangerous chapter. So just basically 2 options over here. One is that it's a small drone operated by somebody off a rooftop, which flew into a particular area, which was this Jammu Air Station, and struck a building over there and a nearby area. Or it could be something more insidious, where, you know, something flew across the line of actual control or the international border. If that was to take place, then it would indicate a more sophisticated drone, because the smaller drones operate on a line of control setup. So it's just it's essentially a modified toy, where on line of sight, I should mention, line of sight operation between the remote control operator and the device in the sky, the drone. So that has very limited range. Once it goes beyond line of sight, you can't really control it. Whereas a more sophisticated drone would have a GPS system on board, a global positioning system, which would enable it to get to a particular coordinate and then either drop its payload and fly back, or if it's a kamikaze drone, it would just drop over there and the explosive would go off. So all of this, our investigators would be looking at, but it's a very serious incident, the first of its kind on any Indian military target.
Right. Vishnu, thanks for joining us with those details. Let's also go across to Neeta Sharma, who's been tracking the details of this story. Neeta, the Jammu and Kashmir Police, the Indian Air Force, as well as the NIA is now going to be investigating this particular matter. What are you picking up?
2-3 things, Rishika. First, the NIA is already at the spot and is trying to gather the initial leads that it is getting. NSG, BDS team is also there. They are also trying to get some forensic evidence. As of now, as Vishnu was suggesting, that if this attack was perpetrated by somebody in the close range, what we are learning from our sources is that as of now, even though evidence is circumstantial, but they are also investigating any Pakistan angle to the entire incident, the entire episode. Apart from that, as you were saying, the first blast took place at 1:37, which was also captured by the CCTV, and the second one was reported at 1:43 PM. These two drone strikes have now been confirmed by the security agencies. They are looking into it as to, and recently in last 1 year or so, there have been a lot of drone sightings, drone droppings along Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab borders. Border Security Force has had intercepted many such consignments in last 1 year or so. In fact, even Jammu and Kashmir police had intercepted many inflated balloons which had said in Pakistan Air Force written on it, Pakistan International Airlines. So such balloons, drones have been sighted in this area. But investigations as far as this incident is concerned is going on. The NIA's team is at the spot. Security agencies, and they're also sharing. We had done a story when this PM meet was to take place, that there was a low alert in the entire Jammu and Kashmir region. Now the security agencies are now again saying, confirming that this alert was indeed a low lying alert which was issued before the Prime Minister's meeting which took place here in Delhi. But now this incident is a very serious incident, and now various intelligence agencies are also together looking into it. Rishika?
Right, so you're saying that there was some kind of an alert, but it was a low-lying generic alert ahead of that meeting that took place in New Delhi, and there was no specific alert pertaining to this that came in the last couple of hours.
See, as far as that alert was concerned, obviously very high stakes were involved. It was a very highest level meeting which was scheduled in Delhi, so they didn't want anything to go off the cuff or off the radar. But it was a 48-hour alert which was issued by Jammu and Kashmir police itself it was along the LOC also, along the LAC also, international border also. But now within 48 hours, if I may say so, because that meeting was on Friday, Saturday, today Sunday.
Yes.
Sunday morning, this incident has taken place. So now they are confirming that it was indeed a low level alert which was issued. In fact, it was also discussed in the core group which had taken place there on Wednesday in the Kashmir zone between the army commanders and the security forces also, and the police force also.
Well, Neeta, with the source and the target both unclear at the moment, and one doesn't want to speculate, what does this do and how does this impact the ceasefire that's been in place since February?
See, as of now, the ceasefire is in place. Pakistan, there has no been ceasefire violations from their side. Also, it was a big achievement of both the governments, both Pakistan and Indian government. That there have been no infiltrations also this year, if I may say so. Every year, many infiltrations are reported by June and July, but this time they are saying there have been zero infiltrations. As far as local recruitment is also concerned, it's all-time low as far as Valley is concerned. Incident level also, under every head there has been a dip of 50%. So as far as terror related incidents in Kashmir Valley are concerned, obviously it's at all-time low. But as far as Jammu is concerned, there have been sightings in last couple of months. There have been tunnel sightings also, wherein drugs or whether weapons also have been smuggled from across the site. But in this case, they are still probing. Initial information, though they are not denying that circumstantial evidence does point out towards the side of Pakistan.
All right, Neeta, appreciate you for joining us with the very latest.